Alright, let's have a talk. And the talk today is going to be about government and politics. Now, as far as the White House, Congress, Senate, and the Republicans, you all just lost your job. And the 1% who did not sign, to roughly 2% that did not sign, you're being asked to leave the country. Your only destination to leave the country is to go to the desert. That means Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Israel. Effective immediately. For the rest of the 99% that signed on to the European government, the first order by issuance is to go back. If you know you have two of yourself, is to go back and put yourself together. If you have a clone, it must stay with you. The same house you have. As far as the USA government, if people got to see a few things, got to see quite a bit. What I get to see every day. What I get to see every day isn't always pleasant, but was made to be a little bit more pleasant. And how that works is Europe's under a constant state of watch, all the way to Russia, all the way to Czechoslovakia, all the way to Italy. And that constant state of watch is for unseen things, magic, sorcery, religion, occult. But anyway, the point of what was being proved is, in the 1980s to 1990s, told the European government that the USA was going to go for a rough ride, just like Europe did. And the rough ride was, people wanted to see what I could do as an Air King Knight. And technically what it is a change in all ways of government. Not a falsification, but not at the same time, not a direct fact of how things are. The way that older kings and older rulers would rule over countries, regardless to me being around. As a lot of this is watched, a lot of this wasn't acted upon quickly. Some say it's hard to take out a king or a queen. No. It's not very hard. A king, queen, prince, princess, even a monarch, which monarch, I don't like using the word monarch or monarchy because it actually refers to a butterfly of sorts. It sounds like different than that. But the point of it is this is one of the ways that Germany, they call a neo-Nazi, which is a neo-Nazi, a concentration camp for people who are messed up, that are given the least to medium amount of food. And the reason for it is they'll just throw it back up. There's nothing wrong with that. Trying to sustain someone until you find them. And then when you find them, you put the handcuffs on, you tell them what they're being arrested for. Some of them were arrested for duplicating themselves, little actual cloning. Cloning is not the definition of a biological lab person. Biological lab person is a biological lab person made out of a petri dish, better known as a fake surround where a person's grown. It is almost impossible to do that. But anyway, to get back to what was going on, every country that falls in line with Europe in the sense of no line, but under such a what is referred to as a government, goes through this. And what happens is all freedoms are taken from the people. As you feel the withdrawal of freedom, as you feel you get to find out who your next door neighbor is. Is your next door neighbor a nice person? Is everyone you're talking to at the town meetings really honest? What will they do behind your back? And that's the biggest thing. A lot of people in Europe didn't get found out this. A lot of people in the U.S. found out this. What will your neighbor do behind your back? How will you react to this? Will you act in a polite manner and just simply go to the government and say, hey, I need to move? Or what's referred to the government? I want to move. I got 9 people in the area too close to me that ain't friendly. Easiest way. In Europe. Europe will find a place and move you. They'll also find you a job and move you simultaneously. Because that's how the law states. That the people who are employed must do. It's not a question. Everything about the European government is not for the people, but it's not against the people. And the people technically have a very good benefit to this. It means you see a very low tax rate, but at the same time you can see a very high tax rate if you screw up. And all screw-ups, in the sense of how it's screwed up, has to go before me. Because I've seen a lot of people screw up that just weren't trained. I've seen a lot of people screw up and try to hide things. Don't hide it. Because they're afraid to go to jail. Jail and detention are 2 different things. I've explained detention and jail on YouTube under the same name as Google. That jail is not the nicest of places, but it's not the worst of places. As far as detention, it's very relaxed. It works better than prison. Whether you're working for the government or you're working at a job, they accommodate this. How this accommodation works is simple. You have a friend or a relationship with people, and if you have no relationship, then the accommodation is the detention will drop you off where you need to go. At the same time, it gives the detention the capability of being able to monitor what's going on with its detainees. Jail, you have no accommodation of being able to work with the public. There are farms out in Europe where people, regardless to the jail sentence, you will work every day. 5 to 6 days a week, and it's normally 8 hours, even though sometimes it's not at all. If you're not working, you're going out and you're picking stones. That's why the black and whites are often seen. Now, the black and whites here got a break in getting busted on because they were told to knock it off. Take the chain and ball off their ankles and do your job. Now, as far as what you've seen from 1980 to the present is how this country reacts to people, as well as the planet. Not so much people. And how it reacts is very much in different ways. And what I'm talking about is how hot it is, to how cold it is. Whether or not trees are grow or they will rot and pass away. In the sense of falling over and dying. Trees normally do not die in the sense of under 1,000 years. No matter where you stick them. No matter how close they are. Storms do react a little bit to how people and what the land needs, but not the people. People must move out of the way for hurricanes and tornadoes. But let's get back to what just happened. This is not a guarantee thing, but because I'm not too sure what Europe is doing, but I know enough to know that they're being pretty silent right now, the way they were told to be. As far as what you're reading about the White House and everything else, how the gas tanks were rolled in and how people were technically put under sleep sedation, as some refer to it. This was done by the request of the person to their other one. And because it tells me one little thing about what needs to happen is some of it was not monitored where it should have been monitored. Which is interesting. Have that noted. That needs to change. Private sedation of sleep on a person who has no rights to that person. That's what's noted. As far as the government talking to the people, it talks somewhat to the people about what you need to know, and then it's relatively very quiet about how it does everything else, such as transportation of funds and monies, transportation of certain routes and routes of how it helps people, in the sense of, is Mr. Zero or Mr. P, if someone were to come in and they would be your mother, father, daughter, or son, a relative, aunt, uncle, or grandfather, which these terms are illegal in Europe, because you must use their first and last name. That's what they're there for. Anyway, if they would come in and ask, well, my kid's 18 years old, and I just wanted to check how welfare, in the form of reference of words, is going for him. They're not allowed to tell him that. They can't tell him anything. He lost the rights, even under if he hands a beneficiary letter by a lawyer or attorney to that person. He lost those rights. From your mother to your grandfather and everyone in between to your cousin to your uncle, they all lost the rights to know what's going on with you in government. This is one person and another person who handles that person in the sense of non-handling, but just simply helping a person out. And I'm talking about the stranger who's typing things in. As far as what that person does is completely up to them in the sense of certain things. And that is the person who sat down and filed the request. As far as the legality of this is 100% legal of what I'm doing, so you can see what the differences are. And when I came here inside the USA and looked around, everyone knew who I was. The next heir, King Knight to the throne, and all the European countries plus the United Kingdom. To show you what would happen if freedom ruled over a country without actually giving you a total freedom. Oh, it was a good time. I mean, 80s turned into the 90s. It got better, and then all of a sudden bankruptcy after bankruptcy after bankruptcy. 4 bankruptcies, now 5 bankruptcies in 2013 of a particular country. And now this country is now officially bankrupt with a loan of $28 trillion. Stop lying to yourself that it's not bankrupt, it's bankrupt. And everyone down in Washington, D.C. sits there and acts like it's not. The so-called people government. When a country's bankrupt, it's bankrupt. There's no benefit to this country, and I put it up. Even though it got deleted and erased, there's no benefit to how this country's running on its own. Let's see, what are the benefits? Lie, cheat, steal, murder, kill. War. What benefits are they to look forward to when you're 60, 70, 80? Then you're wondering why your SSI is constantly changing. Because they want it to constantly change. Because they're constantly taxing in Washington, D.C. by the people to constantly taxing your funds. They'll tax it 12%. I get my 6%, they get the other 6 cents. That's not how government works. As nice as it sounds, it's not how government works. I had this problem in the 1980s to 1990. Overtaxation without proclamation. That means there was no order of it proclamated to the people or to the government that taxes went up. The only tax that went up was 12 cents per dollar. Went from 6 cents to 12 cents, and it stayed right there. If you ever did the numbers on this, this would also mean you're making almost $1 sicillion. It's actually a quillion dollar every year. You state that the country only makes $88 billion. That would mean $922 by the billion is missing. Where'd that go? It does not cost $922. $922 billion to run a country. This country it only costs a total of $200 billion to run it, to actually make it work. That's including medical. Someone else says $250 billion. So where did the $922 billion run off to every year? Part of it's a down increase in business. Alright, I understand that. But at the same time, that down increase in business is because of the people's fault. No other reason. People's fault. You don't destroy a business and think you can get away with it, regardless to how big your group, organization, or union is. I pulled over well over 80,000, oh not 80,000, I can't say 80,000, somewhere around 30,000, 40,000 companies right on out of here. Because all they were wanting to do was indebt a country. Yeah, read the law. They existed a long time ago that was now totally, it's no longer law, is indictation with proclamation of that of people and company, of that of sustainability within the workforce, organization, and group. That's why they like the word union. Because you can wrap all that up in one little word. Let me put it this way, make it really, really straightforward to you. People have more rights and privileges, which a right is a privilege, under Europe than they will ever have here in the USA. They make more money or tax less, not because I'm taking money from the USA or Canada, is because I'm flooding a little bit of about 10% of my own funds back into the government when it lacks the funds. Tax goes up 1 to 2 cents, maybe 5 cents or what it needs to be able to survive. That's why Europe doesn't fall. I don't tax the crap out of the people. I do limit their cash funds and flows because the law states it has to be done. So if you have $1 million, let's say you have $2 million as the U.S. refers to it, but I refer to it as $2 million. I'll take up until $1 million and 100,000. Brings you down under that million or that 1 million. Then you'll run on your own until you get down to $5,000. You'll come in and say, "Oh, I'm having problems." Okay, you having problems? I'll reinstate $900,000 of your own money to you, leaving a certain amount, which is roughly 200,000. And then when that goes down to 5,000, and you go through that, minus all the different things you want, then that 200,000, when you come and say, "Oh, I'm having problems," $200,000. Tax one time. Into your account. Now from there, you're required to go to work. Try a little too much fun in 2 years, the 3 years, the 4 years, or however long. That's the way it works. Here in the USA, it's it's kind of like a casino in some ways. Or better yet, a pool of bullshit, as I like to call it. You throw your money in, and it goes down the toilet with tidy bowl in the USA. Like I said, where did that $922 billion go that this country earned? If it makes $1 zillion, it could kill you. Anyway, it's too freaking hard to say. I just say Sicilian. It's not Sicilian. It's Cilion. That's why I just stick the paper on writing it. But where'd that money go? 40 years of $922 billion missing in the USA. And it goes well beyond that because there's different times I've come and gone out of here, whether passing or not passing, or dying or not dying. Where'd all that money go? That means we got fake billionaires in the USA. Fake millionaires. Because if you took everything out people wanted, they wouldn't be as rich as you think. If you made people run on their own currency and funds, you'd find out it goes rather quick sometimes. But when it goes quicker than it needs to, then you know you have a problem with government. In one sense. But in another sense, it's working correctly. Everyone in Europe under what I do for the last 4,000 to 40,000 years has used their own money. And the thing of it is they're making minimal 15 euros an hour because the economy's price rates on its markets requires it to be 15 euros an hour. I haven't backed off that 15 euros an hour, even when it was only a 7.25 euro. It's been 15 since, heck, back in 1800s, or actually 1900s. Minimum wage, 15, if it was the minimum wage, 15 euros an hour. Because that's where the economy is. If you got to pay for everything yourself, you need a fast-growing account, because if you go to the hospital, they charge you $40,000. Boom, that fast-acting growing account can become almost nothing. Instantly. Even if you get discounts in the hospital. Anyway, I'm going to stop here.